Hello and welcome back to War Thunder and to the MB.5, which is a plane that I see flown poorly most of the time. Anyway, we are on Wake Island, which isn't a map we see very often. I wish I got it more because it allows me to use the MB.5 to an absolute maniacal degree. Mostly because we're only against the Japanese, who are in comparison all turn fighters, rather than what the MB.5 is, which is a purebred energy fighter slash boom and zoomer. But anyway, into the match. I'm now going to skip forward after I've spent 7 minutes claiming my entire team is disintegrated. It's a Spitfire on a runway and my buddy over here in the MB.5. Spoilers, my buddy in the MB.5 is unfortunately going to have some internet issues and is going to plummet into the ground. And the Spitfire over there is going to die on the runway, which leaves me in a 1v8. Which, obviously, by me being here means that I've won it. But anyway, I think the MB.5 would perform slightly better if it got an air spawn at 1500 meters, maybe 5000 feet, because that's really when your climb rate starts to pick off. But at that point, your speed isn't usually that great. Usually you're sitting around about the 220 mark if you're climbing at 8 degrees. But anyway, so I've selected my target as the one with the most energy, which is this A6M5 that I have selected. Now he's running off into the distance, but because I'm traveling about 500 miles an hour, I can pretty much do whatever I want. And the way I tend to play the MB.5 is I will take a head on over everything else. I will attempt to take everything in a head on because that's where I feel very comfortable in its performance. Now, looking behind me, I get a bit spooked and take the head on at a lot closer range than I normally would. Usually, I'm aiming for about 1.5 kilometers when I start shooting, and then maybe 1 kilometer when I stop shooting, which gives about 60 rounds fired, or about 20 rounds per gun. Uh, that makes 80 rounds. So now I've taken out one. My friendly crashed into the deck. A Cow 61 got scared and slapped to the deck, so I'll take that as another kill. And this is where I make a mistake on this guy. He's outturned me, which is why I much prefer to take everything in a head on. Because the MB.5 isn't that great in pulling. It it pulls okay vertically around about 400, 500 miles an hour, but it doesn't like having a vertical pull and also a bit of rotation in there. It's just not very wieldy. So that I think it's an A6. He did the perfect maneuver to counter me there because I was coming in with a lot more speed. Now I've come in, I've taken a head on with someone, I've taken another head on, I think, and they're now all behind me. But I have the speed just to outrun them, go into a vertical, and I go back down. And I'm waiting to be about 1.82 kilometers out from the nearest target before I even think about going into a vertical. Now, this is well within the danger zone of the head on, where if he had fired slightly earlier, he would have gotten me right there. Taking another really close head on there, and you're seeing that I'm going on the knife edge, and I'm aiming with the top two guns rather than the bottom two, and I'm relying not on the convergence of the guns because I have it set at I think 400 meters, which isn't very useful for the MB.5. It's more that I'm aiming with my preferred wing, which in most cases is the left hand wing, the one I have painted red. So you see me turning a lot on the knife edge and putting my left wing further up, and I'm aiming with that one primarily. But I'm just doing the same thing again, outrunning the entire enemy team because I have the energy to do whatever the hell I want and the performance to kind of get away with it. And I find when you're doing this, or when you're playing the MB.5 in general, you have to be re- pretty surgical in how you're playing it. It's very repetitive, and it requires a lot of precision in exactly how you are using your plane. But when you got it down to a T, and everyone's at low altitude and relatively low speed in comparison to you, your engine performance can just pull you out of the weeds. So you can really rely on it, and you can kind of rely on the Mark II Hispanos, but not a lot, just because they're Mark IIs. They don't have fantastic belts, and I believe even the stealth belt has a practice shell in it. So you're effectively throwing away about a third of your belt. But even then, you still have the performance to do whatever the hell you want at low altitude. Now, yes, if you're going against a 109, there will usually be one side climbing and space climbing, and you can kind of chase after them, but you will spend your entire match doing that. Which isn't really great. Yeah, you can occasionally pull it off, but usually, if they're sitting about 20,000 feet, they're well within your performance range anyway, and they just end up running, or you run out of fuel and they just keep running. So there's not really any point in chasing after them, but occasionally you will come across a 109 who's space climbing, who realizes that you're a kilometer behind them, going to a dive, and you're just able to put a reaction shot on him that sends him into a dive, and, well, he rips his own wings off. Now, that right there, that was a bit iffy. I'm pretty sure he was using default belts, and I was about to say, oh yeah, I'm a god, get good, but no. That was a good game. That was really well played by the enemy team, because they managed to eliminate my team in like 4 minutes. And, well, anyway, that's the MB.5 for you. Take head-ons all the time, get really good at them, and I will see you in the next video. Ciao!